You're listening to Banter with the Boys, talking all things sports. From betting and brawls, Super Bowl to Stanley Cup Finals. Get laced up. It's time for Banter with the Boys.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Banter with the Boys. I'm back this week. Had a little sickness last week that went through the household. Thank you, daycare. That is a joy. That is a joy. As always, got my main man, Smeltzy, with me. How we doing? How you feeling?
I'm all right. You're back again, of course. But, yeah, hopefully we took care of business last week while you were gone, Kevin and I. But welcome back. Hopefully, is everybody feeling good? Like, everybody in the household now healthy?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the most healthy, but we're feeling a lot better than last week.
Sure.
We're feeling a lot better than last week.
Trending in the right direction. Draft stock is going up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Draft stock is back up and running. We're projected back in the second round. Still got some work to do to get to the first. But on that note, thank you guys for taking over last week. Kev, you did an amazing job, brother. Not always on the X's and the O's. Sometimes you got to make those appearances. We love you, man. On that note, let's get into the Week 14 recap. Unfortunately, we're going to start with my Packers this week. Boy, did they shit the bed last night. For whatever reason this year, we show up against the good teams, can't show up against the bad teams that we're supposed to beat. We ended up losing this one 22-24. Did have the lead, for the most part, going into the second half at least, we did. Then the Giants kind of went on a little run, and it just... The offense was back to what it was when I was back talking shit about the offense that we did have. So I think I am going to go back to just not being high on Jordan Love because for whatever reason, he just has a vendetta against me personally.
He listens to the pod.
He does. He does. So
He's
keep listening,
listener.
J-Love. As much as I love my Packers, I hate you. So hopefully this is what it takes to get back into your prime form. As I'm kidding. I don't hate you, J-Love. But what do you think, Smelty? What a shitty game, man.
Who do they play next week? The Bucs? No, okay. He'll go for 300 yards and 3 tuds next week. Now you talk shit about him. But, no, I mean, all in all, I don't know. The Packers look different this week than they did the week prior. I don't know. J-Love just wasn't as sharp this week, and it was obvious. And then, leading as late as they did, and then, obviously, who caught that touchdown at the end? Was it Jaden Reed? I'm sorry. Yeah, Jaden Reed. Was it Reed that caught that touchdown?
For the Packers, Malik Heath.
Did they? Oh, that's right. They overturned that one that he reached across the goal line with, right?
Yeah.
So that's right. And then they found Heath. Okay. But, like, the drive after that for the Giants, like, what the hell happened with the defense?
Tommy Cutlets, brother. I don't know, man. The defense actually played pretty damn good this whole game, especially
until that moment.
Yeah, until
crazy.
We needed them the most. Then, they got the run game going, and like the last 2 or 3 drives was where the bulk of Saquon's yards came from in this game. We couldn't stop Tommy DeVito in the run game. He didn't have a great game passing. He's 17 for 21, looks good, but for 158 yards and 1 touchdown.
But no picks, no sacks.
No picks, no sacks. That's what surprised me the most about this game is we did not get any sacks. The Giants' offensive line is one of the worst in the league. We have a pretty formidable pass rush. They're not gaudy. They're not the Niners. They're not the Cowboys. Nothing remotely close to that. But we do have Rashawn Gary. He didn't show up this game, and I've been praising him throughout the whole year. And we couldn't contain DeVito for one. And then we just couldn't really get the pressure on them to cause that big defensive play that's kind of gotten us through the last couple of weeks.
Right, like the picks and other stuff like that. It just wasn't there. And that's the thing. Him being 17 for 21, yeah, it's only 158 yards. But what that tells me is that he's able to find his checkdowns quick. He's able to bail out of whatever. I'm sure walking up to the line, you have somebody you're looking for immediately. Like, I'm looking for this dude off the snap immediately, but he's able to move on from it. Unlike some other quarterbacks we'll talk about tonight, but he's able to move on from that first read, even the second read, boom, there's your check down before he gets sacked or is able to throw the ball away. But only 4 incompletions. He was obviously finding people all game. Yeah, it might only be for 2 yards, but 2 yards is better than 0 yards.
Yeah, and those 4 incompletions, there was 2 really bad throws on their first drive, and then the next drive there was 1. So, I mean, if my memory serves me right, that's 3 of those 4 in the first 2 drives. And then you look at Love on the other side, The first drive, he missed 2 throws that weren't hard throws. You just have to make those throws. And then that pick was just horrendous.
Yeah, horrible. The first drive, they went 3 and out, yeah? Or did they get one first? They did go 3 and out?
I believe they went 3 and out because
That's
it was,
what I thought, because I
it was
know
a
the
quick
2
pass
throws you're talking
outside
about.
that he just completely missed. I believe it was Dobbs. Then he missed A.J. Dillon on a wide open one. It was just...
Yeah.
And
sails it.
Not that he was like highly pressured, he just straight up sails it. And like I said, that pick it was just horrendous. You can't make that throw. I don't know what he was thinking. And, luckily the Giants didn't capitalize on that. Our defense played great the first half. And
they did, but the offense was really forcing it to me. The Packers offense was forcing it. No matter if they were trying to run the ball or throw the ball, they were forcing it. I mean, 39 attempts, you're forcing him to try to throw the ball on this defense, which you should be able to do.
No, you absolutely should be able to. It's the Giants don't have a great defense by any way, shape, or form. And it was just a weird game because, the Packers were basically in control of the game as poor as they played until
almost the whole game.
Until Keyshawn Nixon muffed that punt in the second half, and then the Giants scored almost immediately. So and then, the Giants just kind of didn't lose that momentum. We tried to gain it back. We actually drove down the field one drive where they couldn't stop A.J. Dillon from getting 3 to 5 yards a carry. And Love was actually finding those receivers. And then we try a double fucking reverse. What are we doing? Just like we're actually getting north and south right now, which you really haven't been able to do. And then you just try this. And yeah, the end around to Jaden Reed was working great, but why? When you're having that just blows my mind about this LaFleur play calling. You have something going, and then you have to do this trick play, and then the double reverse pass. What are we doing right now?
You're just killing your own momentum. Any time the Packers look like they're starting to gain some momentum, and I don't care what anybody said. How do you feel about momentum? Like momentum in a game, whether it's football
matters,
or whatever,
especially as the away team.
Right.
If you have, I say that. I say that as in it weighs heavier as a home team. So if you have a momentum as an away team, you have to take advantage of that because it's not something you're going to regularly get.
You're not going to get it the entire game.
No, and it just takes one play for that momentum to shift if you're the away team. And
it was just every drive. They really couldn't. Yeah, there's points on the board, but they just struggle to put together full drives every game. Every game.
Every game. Yeah, you're right. And usually that falls in the first half. The offense was just I don't understand.
And they were winning at halftime, right? Yeah. 10-7, doing just fine. Again, most likely in control of the game. And then they decide to, I don't know. I feel like they really didn't adjust much coming out of half.
They didn't. They didn't adjust much coming out of half at all, and that's actually where we've had a lot of success.
Right, is your second half.
And where that momentum shift is that muffed punt was the Packers actually went 3 and out and held the Giants to 3 and out coming out of the half, and then we muffed the punt. We give it to them in their own 20, and the game was really over from there. The Giants went up 14-10, and then the Packers did end up going up 22-21. They got that field goal, and that missed field goal by Anders Carlson really hurts now, especially, with the game from what it was. And I don't know, this game was just frustrating because at no point did I think the Packers were in full control of this game, that they were going to pull it off. And I just should have that confidence against the Giants.
Well, you should. No, you definitely should. But DeVito and Barkley were doing just enough to keep them in front. It was either one of them coming up with a clutch play every drive to kind of keep that hope alive that they could beat you guys. So I feel like the Packers really let only 2 players beat them. Truly.
100%. It was nobody defensively jumped off the stat sheet. And yeah, man, all of the confidence I had from the last 3 weeks playing 2 really good teams, 1 good team. And then you just throw it away. We're still in the playoffs right now. So, it's not like I'm just down on the season. We have a very easy schedule left.
Right. Yeah, it's not super hard. You go, I'm sorry. The Bucs go to you this weekend. I think that's a winnable game. That's a game that you have to use to get back on track to sneak into that playoffs.
Yeah, and then it's Panthers, Vikings, Bears.
All winnable games.
I believe the Bears game is at Lambeau, if I'm not mistaken.
Those are all winnable games.
Yeah, they're all games we're favored in, like as of right now. And I mean, we were a 6.5 point favorite going into this game.
Which obviously we both took that. We thought it was easy money. It was not easy money.
No, that's when I was just like, all right, we're on a roll. We're going to keep rolling. But enough about the Packers, man. I really think we're going to bounce back next week. We still, like I said, are in playoffs right now. We control our own destiny. So I think we could still make the playoffs this year. Will we do anything? That depends on the J-Love we get. Well, let's transition here. Let's take a step here and go to the most exciting game we had of the weekend with your Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Sin City and pulling out a squeaker.
That's kind of how it feels, a squeaker. I think we both have two different definitions of exciting because I don't know. Like, just to give you an example, like when the Vikings were getting smoked in the NFC Championship game in Philly a number of years back, I watched the whole game. I don't know why. It was really disheartening, but I watched the whole damn game. And this weekend, I damn near wanted to turn that thing off. It was so... no words. I have no words. I tell you what, Josh Dobbs, as we found out today, Nick Mullins will be the starter going into next week, but the deal with Josh Dobbs, I think he knows who he's going to throw to immediately, and he doesn't come off them. And then when they're not open, he waits for them to get open. And that's where now it's either he's scrambling or taking a sack. If we're lucky, he throws the ball away. But you saw it this week, and he literally waited until somebody came open instead of throwing someone open, instead of even, he wasn't even leading his receivers, some of the throws. They were behind him because he waited and then threw it to where they are, not where they were going. So Josh Dobbs took a huge step backwards this week, just in his professional career. He was on track to potentially earn a biggish contract as a backup, to potentially challenge for a starting spot, if not start for the Vikings next season. And now I don't think that's even in the question. I think Kwesi's calling Kirk Cousins at halftime like, hey, homie, like, let's get this deal worked out like today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that game was terrible. I had it on as one of the quad boxes on the big TV, and I say that like it's a fucking theater room. It's just my living room TV. It's just not my laptop, which I watch restaurant on.
Theater room. Fake it till you make it. You got a theater room.
But yeah, so I had it on, and I was actually, of the 4 games, that's the one I was listening to. But I really can't say
that was a mistake.
Yeah, I can't say I watched it because it was just, I tried, because it's being on this podcast, we talk about 2 games the most, our 2 teams. So I, want to have a vested interest, and I just couldn't do it, man. It just both sides. It was terrible. I mean, good defensive game. The defenses looked good. Well, and then Max Crosby's just a fucking wrecking
freak
crew.
Of nature, dude. And the thing is like people are going to say, oh, of course you're going to say good defenses, but when the offenses suck so bad, it's a little both. It's a little both. I do think both defenses played pretty darn well. Like you mentioned, Max Crosby, dude, he manhandled Brian O'Neill until he injured Brian O'Neill all game. I think O'Neill went out in the third quarter. It could have been the second quarter. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, dude, he was manhandling him all game. And Brian O'Neill is, 1-2-time All-Pro, one of the better right tackles in the league. He's starting to sputter a little bit. He is. But he's still top 10 right tackle in the league, I would say.
He's still top 5.
And, okay, yeah. Coming from Pack fan, top 5. And Max Crosby absolutely, almost what Khalil Mack was doing to tackles, 4 years ago or whatever. Just manhandling.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was actually it was pretty fun to watch, just because you don't really see that.
You paid more attention to the defense in this game on both sides, probably because there's nothing going on the offense. So it forced people that normally maybe don't look at the defenses as much to actually watch the defense. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get any excitement out of the game, you had to look for defensive plays. So, yeah, but I mean, it was just the Vikings defense actually looked really good. And like you said, yeah, the offenses were shit, but you still got to give credit where credit's due. And I do think that, especially, I know you're going to touch on him, but that Ivan Pace Jr., he had himself a little coming out party, eh?
Well, this whole season's a coming out party for him. He was an undrafted rookie out of, Cincinnati or South Carolina.
Cincinnati.
It was a Cincinnati. Okay, I was like, I knew it was whatever. Anyway, I was right. Undrafted rookie, kind of made waves in preseason. Like people were like, "Well, who is this kid?" And then he made the roster, obviously, and then kind of started getting slotted into that starting role because he earned it. And you just saw why this past weekend. I mean, 13 tackles, one of them a sack. He was in the quarterback's face all game. He also ended up getting pretty much the game sealing pick. He read that play like a book, just dropped back into coverage. I don't know if Aiden didn't see him or whatever, but he hucked it right at him and made the play. Game over pretty much. But I mean, the Vikings, all in all, I mean, it was an abysmal game on the offensive side of the ball. The only positive is that Alexander Mattison was having a great game until he hurt his ankle. And then he was I don't think he came back in the game, but if he did, it was like one play, and then he was like, I can't go. So 10 carries, 66 yards for him. But he actually started breaking some tackles for the first time this season, which you haven't seen all year, which is kind of what, us Vikings fans have been asking for, which is kind of what he was doing when he was the number 2 behind Dalvin, that power back role kind of. So we saw a little bit of that this weekend. So that was a positive for me. Nick Mullins starting next week. We'll see. I mean, at least what Mullins was doing was getting rid of the ball before the receivers were even out of their breaks. That's what you have to do in the NFL. That's how tight your windows are in the NFL. And you saw Nick Mullins doing that, kind of Kirk Cousins-esque.
Yeah, Nick Mullins actually looked halfway decent when he came in. He brought some excitement to the game. And like you were touching on Madison. It's like he was running angry for the first time this year.
For the first time this year.
Yeah. He didn't look like himself at all this year. And it should be encouraging as a Vikings fan because you're going to get JJ back. Hopefully, who knows if he just can last more than a series. But it gives you at least a little bit of balance. And that's something that the Vikings offense has like seriously lacked this year. So I'd be encouraged if I was a Vikings fan coming out of what you saw in Mullins. Now, granted, small sample size, so we'll see what he does this week. Who do you guys play?
They play in Cincinnati against a red-hot Jake Browning.
Jake Browning or Jake Burrow here, buddy. Let's
Also a former Viking, of course.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But just real quick before we wrap up this game that really means nothing, Davante Adams. What's next for Davante Adams? Because I really don't think it's Vegas right now. There's no way he's gonna. They had a view of him sitting on the sideline. This is before the game was even over. It was still 0-0, and dude, he just looked really beside himself, like contemplating life in general. Like, what am I doing here? He went there to play with Derek Carr, obviously, and that didn't work out. There's got to be something else that's going to be next for him because I think he's still under contract for next season. I can't remember, but maybe I'll look that up here. But I don't know. Like, what's next for Davante Adams?
That's a great question. I don't see Davante Adams as a Raider next year.
That's what I'm saying. I don't either. So I'm curious where he goes. Do the Jets try to make a play?
I don't think the Jets. I don't know if that's crazy. That's crazy to think about.
I don't think so, but what if?
He has 3 years left on his deal. Bro.
I know. I just looked too. I was like, holy shit.
And it's a lot of money. I mean, you're talking next year's Well,
the Vegas would have to eat some money for him to leave.
Vegas definitely would have to eat some money, and I don't know if the Jets might. They're so young that they would have to give up, I think, too much. But at the same time, like Rodgers only has 2 to 3 years left in him, like maybe. So you're in the Super Bowl window right now. I think Davante would be a great fit on that team, pairing him up with Garrett Wilson, giving Garrett Wilson that veteran presence. And it sucks to see because, I'm a Packer fan and he'd meant so much to me and the Packers that now you see him kind of trickle off since he's left. Oh, you had 2 good years in Vegas or a year in Vegas.
And that's the thing. Vegas, I think if he has a change of scenery next year, that trickle effect won't be in effect.
No.
Because I think he's just suffering to lack of poor quarterback play.
100%. And it'd be interesting. I think the Jets would probably be the biggest players in getting them, but...
You would think, at least for a PR move, but I don't. Who else? Like Seriously,
What about the team that's going to be flushing cap space that's really young, that's impressed a lot this year? I would love to see him down there with C.J. Stroud in Houston.
Ooh.
Or you look at a team like Indy with a young Anthony Richardson, but I don't think that would be as enticing for Davante because at this point in his career, he's playing to win a championship and get a Super Bowl. So I don't know if he would be the thing that would put him over the edge per se in Houston.
I'm just trying to think who else could afford him even. Like, I don't even know.
That's the
I
thing,
don't think
bro.
anybody else could afford him unless he stays in Vegas or goes to one of those younger teams and tries to help them make a run. Like, seriously, I don't think any of the top teams right now, he'd be able to slot in anywhere. Now, does Jerry Jones make something crazy happen to get a Davante Adams? Maybe. I don't know what he would make happen because they're pretty set the way they are. But if you added Davante to that lineup,
I don't. The Cowboys, there's no way. See, I'm looking at the salaries.
he'll just give Davante his yacht. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm looking for the salary cap next year for the teams, and the Cowboys are projected right now to be $13 million over the cap.
Yeah, so not happening.
No, so it's not happening. But looking at the top 5 teams here, you have the Commanders, Titans, Patriots, Colts, and Texans. So Colts and Texans have more than $70,000 in available cap. Patriots wouldn't be enticing for them because they don't have a quarterback, and you'd have to trust in either Caleb Williams or Drake May, they're probably going. One of them will be a Patriot next year. Look at the Colts, so then you have the Titans. Will Levis looks all right, but they're not a championship team. And then the Commanders don't have a quarterback. Sam Howell's not going to be the team that's the quarterback that takes them to greatness. But pairing Davante Adams with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, De'Ami
like,
Brown.
The think about him going to that, that's what I was thinking, like when you started listing those teams, I was like, well, Washington's an option, maybe. But you're right, they don't have a quarterback. Sam Hall's not it.
You look at those other 4 teams, there's really only one team in that top 5 that has what you could say a solidified top-tier quarterback right now, and that's C.J. Stroud.
Right. Man, I guess we'll see. We'll have to see what happens, but I mean, I think Vegas needs to dump him because him sulking on the sideline's not a good look for either one of them.
And Vegas isn't anywhere close to contending.
No, they're about to go into a full rebuild. I mean,
they need to get rid of their head coach, and they need to get a quarterback.
Yeah, they're a long ways out. I guess from those teams that would have the most room, Houston does look the most promising. You know, they're not looking bad in general. Maybe it'd be a big addition for them.
And right now, the Raiders are projected to have the 7th pick. So you're not getting Drake May or Caleb Williams. And
They'll probably end up with a Bo Nix, and that's not going to work out.
I'm not big on any other quarterback coming out this year. I'm really not. Bo Nix, I think, has. Did
Caleb Williams even say if he's for sure coming out yet? I know Drake May did.
Come on, Smeltzy. He's coming.
I know, but like with the NIL money he can make, like if
the NIL money pales in comparison to an NFL salary.
Nuh-uh.
Bruh.
Did you see the possibility for Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Okay,
to stay in Ohio State?
Yeah, but the thing is
you don't think Caleb Williams is going to get that kind of money?
I don't think he would get as much as an Ohio State player. Ohio State's
Caleb
boosters,
Williams, the most touted blah 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 quarterback ever.
I still don't think he would get as much as Marvin. What Marvin's
crazy.
being offered because Marvin is a sure bet, 100% sure bet. Caleb is kind of going into that.
He
number.
looked rough this year.
Marvin Harrison?
Caleb. No.
Yeah, I was going to say.
not
Caleb,
Marvin. No.
Caleb started great, but he kind of fell into that number. Like right now, he's like a lot of people are projecting Drake May to go number 1, and that wasn't even a thought 7 weeks into the college football season.
No, it wasn't.
So
but that could be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Time, but
Caleb Williams is definitely he'll be a 1 or 3 pick, 1 through 3 pick. Depends on if that second team who it ends up being, because right now it's the Patriots. So, yeah, right now it's Bears-Patriots, so you might very well see those 2 quarterbacks off the board. But nonetheless, let's switch gears here. Let's get back into the NFL, the Week 14 slate. We have Buffalo and Kansas City, which, all joking aside, did actually end up being the game of the week. It was one hell of a game from start to finish. Buffalo ended up squeaking this one out, winning 20-17, with Smeltzy taking the Buffalo to cover that 1.5 points. I took the Chiefs to cover that 1.5, and they did not because they lost. But what a great game from kind of start to finish in this one. It's a classic Bills-Chiefs game, you know?
Well, classic as of like these past few years, for sure.
Yeah, I forgot to say that at the end of that.
No, but and everybody already knows that anyway. I'm just slapping it in there. But no doubt. I mean, great game, back and forth all game. But it wouldn't be a Chiefs game without some sort of controversy, of course. But Yeah, truly a hard fought game. Both sides, both quarterbacks, damn near the same shit. I mean, both throwing over I'm sorry, Josh Allen did not throw over 250, 233, but both a tud, both a pick. Both used their legs. I guess Pat Mahomes only ran it once, but typical shit from both teams, truly.
Yeah, it really was. And to be honest with you, the quarterback play wasn't great. It's not what you expect.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, it wasn't quarterback versus quarterback, really.
No, it really wasn't. And I mean, the story of this game obviously comes at the end. We'll obviously we will touch on that, but I think what came at the end of that game overshadows the actual greatness of these two teams' rivalry they've kind of built for over the course of the last years. And where the hell did James Cook come from? This guy, he had himself a day, 58 yards rushing on 10 carries. He's averaging over 5.5 there. And then he had 83 yards on 5 receptions with that 27-yard touchdown. That was a thing of beauty. That surprised the hell out of me that the Chiefs didn't have that focal point. Well, I guess that doesn't surprise me that he wasn't the focal point. Don't get me wrong.
Because he's just kind of started finally, obviously everybody's known who he is because of who his brother is too. So they think he might have the same ability. But he's kind of just finally started emerging more and showing us way more these past few weeks. And yeah, he did it again. I mean, his ability to turn that speed on and off is insane.
Yeah, it is. And he's so shifty. He's a lot shiftier than Dalvin. Dalvin's not a power back by any way, shape, or form, but he has a bigger stature to him. He's more he's not a downhill runner, but he's more of a downhill runner than James.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think James Cook he's exciting to watch just because you never know what you're going to get. You might get 10 carries for 32 yards, or you might get 10 carries for 80, and he's going to pop off for one big explosive, just fun play to watch. But let's get to it, Smeltzy. The story of this game came at the last, not the last play of the game, but the last Chiefs play of the game. Well, it didn't end up being the last Chiefs play of the game either.
We all
I
know
need to come back.
What the F you're talking about.
But one of the greatest, coolest plays you'll ever see, brought back by an offensive offsides by Kadarius Toney.
And, that was pretty good.
That's the dad in me coming out.
Yeah, but, I mean, to be honest, it's the right call, first off. It's 100% the right call to call that back because he was offsides.
It's not that he was offsides, Smeltzy. He was egregiously offsides.
he was offsides. And any of these Chiefs fans, some of the stuff I've seen since the game, on social media and stuff, it's just ridiculous. You guys know the rules, man. You know the rules. And so the issue is that, some of them are oh, well, Toney did actually check with the ref. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He looked at him. I did see him look at him, but it was literally a half second, boom, done.
No receivers are actually checking with the ref when they do that.
They are.
Well,
to see if they're on the line, but the ref will, go like this or whatever, tell him to back up or whatever. But he's not going to yell across the field at you, be like, hey, you're offsides, bro. That's not going to happen. You've been playing.
He also did it early.
You've been playing.
He did it before his line was even set.
Right. Yeah, before the center even touched the ball, which is going to move the ball slightly anyway. Before his center even touched the ball, he looked over at the ref for not even a half second and looked back. You've been playing football almost, your whole life? And that's what you're going to decide? It's on Toney.
No, it 100% is. And do I agree with the call? Yes. Do I agree that it was a penalty? Yes. Do I agree with making that call at that point in the game? No, you got to let that play.
But when it's that obvious, though.
No, I get it.
And then people talk about the Von Miller play, a play before that or right after it? It was right after it. But the problem with it is the picture that people keep using, the still of Von Miller, well, that effing camera's behind the line of scrimmage, not down the line of scrimmage, people, first off. Second off, as soon as, what's their center's name? Is that Creed Humphrey?
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Creed's hand moves, Von's going. Guess what? He's a Hall of Famer. He's got the snap timed up. That's not offsides to me. No, and I have no dog in this fight.
The thing about it, Smeltzy, is they used the same the camera didn't move from the Toney play to the Miller play, and they went back 5 yards. So you're right. They were behind. So it's you can't bring that up. The other thing is, and I've seen it now too, that Toney was doing it throughout the game. Was it as egregious? No. Was he warned? No. But when you look at the amount of calls of offensive offsides that were called last year versus this year, it's 3 last year versus 11 this year. The majority of those offensive offsides are the right or left tackle lining up too far
Yep.
back on the ball,
Sure.
a.k.a. Jawan Taylor has been known to do it this whole year, really.
Which would technically be not an
Illegal
offsides,
formation.
illegal formation.
It's still,
you're right. Jawan Taylor has been doing it all year.
it's still offsides, though. It's not
Yeah,
considered
yeah.
illegal formation, so it still
Sure.
counts towards that 11.
Sure.
So, it's not often a receiver, anything split from the line lines up offsides.
It's a high school penalty.
It's
is what
like-
that is. You
so-
don't get called for that at this level.
So I was listening to the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and they had Ryan Clark on it, and he's an NFL vet. He played in the league for a long time, and he's like, the first thing they teach you in football is alignment, then assignment, and then I forget the third thing he said. But the first thing they teach you when you get to the NFL is, before you even know if you're a receiver to run a fucking route, is alignment, where you line up on the line. And it's like. And just the fact that it's Tony, and he's cost the Chiefs so much this year, with drops, with just bonehead plays, and we're going to get into the reaction to
Other
it all here
boneheads.
later. But it just sucks that overshadowed the game because
does,
it was such a good
was
game.
Truly a good game. The defenses really showed up well too that game.
They did.
It had a playoff feel to it.
As they always will
Every
with those
snap.
two teams.
Yeah,
those two quarterbacks.
no shit. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And no, I can't even say it. I was going to say that Josh Allen played a little better than his normal playoff self, but he really didn't. He played like shit, and so did Patrick Mahomes. So.
Yeah, it's like Allen's
just-
like
it's
9
just-
straight game with a turnover or something
But
like
again,
that.
it's like every snap mattered that game. That's I guess what I'm getting at. Like as far as like that playoff feel, every single snap mattered.
100%. And it was, yeah. Well, we're going to get into this game a little bit later on here in the pod. So let's move gears again here. We'll talk about the Colts taking on the Bengals, traveling to Cincinnati. Cincinnati was actually a 1.5 point underdog in this game. I picked the Colts to cover that 1.5 points, and you picked the Cincinnati to, well, either win or, again, cover that 1.5 points. And you were very right on this one, brother. The Colts did not show up. Colts ended up losing 14-34. The story of this game, though, is he continues to shine, Smeltzy. Mr. Jake Browro.
Jake, that was nice. You're gonna catch me off guard with every game, I think, at this point. But yeah, dude, Jake looked. I don't know. He looked outstanding. And I think if you're the Bengals, you're feeling actually kind of confident at a potential playoff run at this point. He's doing enough to win games. He just beat another team this weekend that is in the AFC playoff picture for a wild card in that race. So he's doing enough. And he's got a Vikings team this week that's abysmal on offense right now. Dude, the Bengals could make a run.
They really could. I mean, the AFC North is kind of trickling outside of the Steelers. Not the Steelers, but the Ravens as well. So I don't know. I've been just mad impressed with this cat, man. He's never really been given the opportunity in the NFL, and now that he has it, he's just taken off with it. And how about Chase Brown, dude? How about Chase Brown?
So, and that's the thing about Chase Brown. So, do you watch college football?
Yeah, I can't say I'm a devoted fan.
Hit or miss. What do you watch? Like if it's on like an Alabama or an SEC school or anything?
If it is, I'll probably watch the Badgers.
Oh, duh. Yeah, the Badgers, duh. Okay, so Chase Brown out of Illinois, he's been running up and down the Big Ten the past number of years. And it was between him and honestly Mo Ibrahim for the Gophers. I can't lie. Mo was a beast. But anyway, shout out. Also probably out of the league already this year. But Chase Brown, dude, he's a beast. He's fast. As soon as he's a guy that you just want to get the ball in his hands, whether it's over in the air or you're handing it off, pitching it, doesn't matter. You just want him to get the ball in his hands because he can make guys miss. And it's not even his. He's got a good juke ability, but it's not even just that. It's just his ability to start and stop again, just so quickly.
He's shifty.
Yeah, and I know we use that word a lot, but what else are you gonna say? It's a fact.
Yeah, he's really, really like I don't want to use it again, but he's super elusive. So
There
just
you go.
with the way that
Agile.
synonyms coming in.
Start pulling out a dictionary.
But it was also this Colts offense just couldn't get going, man. Like Michael Pittman had himself a good game. But it was the running game. Zach Moss has actually been pretty damn good in relief of Taylor, and he just could not get going.
Zach really only had like 2 good rushes that game.
Yeah.
And that was it. Trey Sermon, I wasn't even sure if he was still in the league, to be honest with you. So he got 3 carries for only 13 yards. But yeah, no, Zach Moss, he didn't have it going this week at all. I mean, that 12-yard run was about all he had.
Yeah.
I think he had like getting one other like kind of bigger run, but that was, I mean, not more than 12, obviously.
Right. And the Colts need a balanced offense because Gardner's not going to go and win you games. He's going to play good enough where he's probably not going to lose you the game. But they need some sort of balanced ability. You know, even just having 18 rushes. Now, granted, why would you run more than that when you're averaging 2.6 yards a carry and you're down so much throughout the game? But
and that's just it. After that third quarter, now that whole fourth quarter, you're throwing the ball.
Yeah,
trying to just play catch up at that point.
But
another great game for Pittman, and like it's good to see him becoming more consistent. Because right when he came into the league, high expectations, kind of didn't do a whole lot. But now he's starting to get a little more consistent with it. And I think that's a really good sign for Colts fans. Add in Davante Adams to that.
That'd be wild. But I think Pittman's biggest issue is just inconsistent quarterback play.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't had a quarterback for longer than 2 years since he's been in the league.
Well, and hopefully now that Anthony Richardson is kind of starting to learn, hopefully he learns this offseason how to protect his body a little bit more. He's got to take some notes from Tua.
Yeah, he needs to take them jiu-jitsu classes or judo, whatever it was.
How many games has Tua played this year? You know what I mean? Brother. So, like, it's obviously helping him. And there's some video I saw, not to go on a tangent about Tua, but there's some video I saw earlier this season, like, of him, like, getting pushed back after the play, you know, probably a QB hit, I'm sure. But he, like, somersaults backwards to get out of it instead of slamming on the ground. Boom, somersaults backwards or some crazy shit and gets right up. He's fine.
Yeah, he did like a back roll. Yeah. And it's I was really excited for Anthony Richardson coming into this year. I really thought that, in my opinion, he was going to be the best quarterback out of this class. Now, CJ Stroud, it would take a lot for Richardson to kind of surpass what Stroud's doing.
But knowing what you knew then, which was nothing, right? We had only their college shit to look at, really. So I would have gave that to you. With how much his draft stock rose right before the draft, because of how good of an athlete he is. Like, is he a better athlete than Lamar Jackson, you think?
No, I don't know if I'll go to that stage yet. But it was like, that was the thing with Richardson, is I didn't expect him to come in and be the best quarterback out of that draft class this year. I did think Stroud was going to be the best. Like, he's the best. Stroud, in my opinion, was the best quarterback to come in and start and be consistent with the opportunity to be great. Richardson has the highest ceiling, right? So he has the highest ceiling because he can just do so much. I wasn't really big on Bryce Young coming out, and I mean, he's been put in a terrible position to succeed, so I'm not going to blame anything on him
I think you need 2 more years.
And you need
at least 3 years to judge a quarterback, truly.
But you also have a high-level
quarterback, unless you're Jamarcus Russell or something.
You got to build the team around him. You got to get him some good coaches in there, and I don't know how to feel about the Colts at this point, though. You know, the Colts are they're a team that I do like. Outside of the Chargers, they're my favorite AFC team. And
I think the defense is good enough they can sneak in. I do.
The defense, it's been so inconsistent this year, though.
This is an awkward time to be saying that, to be honest, after just getting whooped this last weekend. But, like, I would have said that shit before last game. You know, the defense is good enough to carry you into the playoffs. You know, obviously we saw some holes this week, and again, a red-hot Jake Browning, which I think he could do that same thing to the Vikings this weekend. But
I don't see why he wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think you still see the Colts sneak in. I really do.
I do, and they're like, as we stand right now, they are projected to be in the playoffs.
At the 7th seed, like today?
Yeah, right now they're the 7th seed. The Bengals are actually the 10th seed. But there's also
so much can change right there.
There's 6 teams tied at 7 and 6.
Yeah, dude.
And that's the 6th and 7th seed is where it starts at the 6th seed.
We're gonna have some crazy flexed games coming up.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if that Packers Vikings game is gonna get flexed. It depends on where they stand come playoff time.
Who knows? It could by then.
Yes, sir. Well, that's enough about that game as a whole here. Let's move on to what we had as the game of the week, and it turned out being a ass whooping. We had the Eagles traveling down to Dallas, taking on the Cowboys. Dallas was actually favored by 3.5 in this game. I, as you can probably tell by the trend here, took the Philadelphia Eagles to cover that 3.5. Smeltzy took the Cowboys to win by more than 3.5. And I went 0-4 this week on my picks, so we have told you that we will get those standings out. I think we're going to start with next week and get you it from there.
No, I'm going to go back and look at all this shit.
But in all seriousness here, the Eagles just they don't look anything remotely close to what their team was last year, and the Cowboys look damn good, man. Dak Prescott he's doing everything he can to play himself into the MVP right now, and at this point in time, he's my MVP.
Damn, really?
Yeah, okay. I don't see. I mean, the only other person that can be in that consideration right now, in my opinion, is Brock Purdy.
Oh, for NFC, or are you talking overall
MVP.
League?
You can make an argument for Tua, because my argument against Brock Purdy is the same reason I wouldn't include Tua.
Is there no argument for Tyreek to beat out a quarterback this year?
There's no. It's just not going to happen. So in my opinion, is Tyreek. What
about Christian McCaffrey?
No. So if you look at
really,
in my opinion, so you have to define what the MVP is, right? It's the most valuable player.
Correct.
You take Tyreek off that team,
they're probably okay.
You take Tua off that team.
I think they're more okay than if you take McCaffrey fully away from San Francisco.
See, I would disagree just because of Shanahan's
yes,
system.
you have Debo. Yes, you have,
and you have Elijah
Kittle.
Mitchell, who's a really good RB2.
So
it's just, and you have Ayuk there. And San Fran's defense is just too fucking good. So if you have to define the most valuable,
could be Dak.
Let's look at what happened when Purdy got hurt against the Eagles last year.
Yeah, they didn't do shit. They didn't do shit.
When Tua got hurt last year, the Dolphins sputtered.
Yeah. I'm just sick of it being a quarterback award.
It forever will be.
So they need to come up with something else then. It's not a true MVP.
Well, that's what it is, though. That's what it is. The MVP is a quarterback award. The offensive player of the year is probably the best player in the league, and then the defensive player of the year.
But even offensive player of the year last year, it was like, at least on the NFC side, Jefferson won it. But there was what? It was between Jalen Hurts, Jefferson. I thought it was another quarterback. I can't remember. I literally just read that. Fuck. But it's always like even in the offensive player of the years, it's always quarterbacks too. But that's where you see the chance for a receiver, or running back, or somebody else.
And I mean, at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts was one of the best offensive players in the league last year.
Oh, he could have easily won.
So it's you got to give that credit where it's due there too, though. So it's, and I mean, I don't disagree with you in terms of it shouldn't be a quarterback award. But if you define most valuable player, who's the most valuable to their team and their franchise, it is 100% going to be the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fact.
It's just disappointing. Yeah,
it sucks
because there's a lot of other good players that just get overlooked it's every year though. It's not a new thing. Right. The last non-quarterback to win MVP was Adrian Peterson.
And what did he have to do?
He almost went for 2,000 yards.
He did go for 2,000 yards. He was like
He was like
8 yards away from breaking the single season record, and that was coming off of a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Like, he had the story behind him. He had the year that was just incredible.
Do you think he would have still won it without that story? I mean, we'd have to go back and
Probably
look at
not.
stats because I don't.
I think what helped him in the vote, I would have to see who he was against, what quarterbacks did what they did.
Right.
So and what helped him in that regard was it was so remarkable that he did that coming off of an ACL that it was just
100%.
like
100%. And I wish they would have ran him to freaking get the record.
They did, bro. They played the Packers week 17, and they did everything He went over 200 yards in week 17.
No, they took him out the game late, though.
No, they didn't.
I swear to God, they did.
Bro, I was watching it, and I was rooting for him because the Vikings were winning pretty handedly, so they weren't like passing. I remember because I was actually rooting for him to get
break it. Yeah, because you were there. You said
no. I wasn't there, but it was like you don't see this. Like when is the?
We're never gonna see somebody break that.
Yeah, I want to see greatness, dude. And it's like the Packers
Peterson
are already fucking.
And Chris Johnson, that was the closest we got.
Dude, Chris Johnson was so fun to watch.
I know.
But that's for another time. Back to the game.
We're going on a tangent.
But what do you make of this, man? The Cowboys, they're the second best team in the NFC, in my opinion, and the Eagles, they look similar to kind of what the Lions are doing right now. Now, I'd still say the Eagles are better than the Lions.
They are. I would take the Eagles in an Eagles versus Lions matchup, but that's exactly what's going on. They are kind of acting like the Lions. Came out strong, and now what? Eagles have lost 2 straight? and kind of what we've been looking for all game.
It's not that they just lost two
not all
straight,
game.
Smeltzy. They got their ass whooped 2 weeks in a row.
Right. That defense. What we've been saying, we need to see something from that defense.
They can't
and they're not,
pressure the
and
quarterback.
They're not showing it. Are they? What's the issue? Are they too young? Or are they just not?
It's the same defense as last year for the most part. They lost Javon Hargrave. He went to San Fran, but they gained Jalen Carter.
Right.
He's the defensive rookie of the year right now.
Right.
And they cannot get pressure on the quarterback like that. They broke the record for sacks last year.
Compared to the other side of the ball for Dallas, where Micah Parsons was in Jalen Hurts' face all game. All game, Micah Parsons was in Jalen Hurts' face. And the Eagles just could not replicate that. They could not, like you're right. They couldn't pressure Dak. They got 3 sacks, but when they weren't sacking him, he had all day to throw the ball. All freaking day. And you're going to give Dak Prescott all day to throw the ball, he's going to find somebody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different receivers for Dallas. Compared to, look at Philly. Jalen was only able to find 4 different guys. Now they're pretty much his main guys right there, but dude, that's it.
That's insane.
He wasn't able to spread the ball around at all because Micah Parsons was in his face.
Jalen found 3 different guys. They had a fake punt.
Oh, yeah. 3 different guys then.
That's wild. And granted, it's only
3 main guys again, but
and it's on 18 targets. It's not like they really tried to come out and really throw the ball.
But what that tells me is he couldn't spread the ball around. He was on his 1 or 2 guy, number 1 or number 2 receiver for that play every play before he either had to dip out or get rid of it or something.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was so fun to watch last year, dude. It was so fun to watch. He had the passing ability. He was making plays on the ground. And it's just this year, he just looks kind of like a shell of who he was last year.
Do you think he's playing injured? Because I know there was something that came out earlier in the season, right? And we were like, he
who
could
isn't
be playing injured
week
15,
14.
Right. But I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't think you'll ever find out if he is because that's who he is. And
right.
I respect the shit out of that out of him. I really do respect that. And we're out here talking like the Eagles are it's just been terrible. They've lost, I think they only lost 1 regular season game last year. So
right.
2 years as a starter, he's lost 4 games.
Yeah. So
they're still they're still leading they're not leading their division currently, but they should win their division.
Not anymore. That was you needed to win that game.
They didn't though because they have
for themselves. They needed to win that game.
They have the 4th easiest schedule going the rest of the year, and the Cowboys have the 3rd hardest.
Doesn't fucking matter. For themselves, they needed to beat Dallas, a good team.
But they split the series.
When did they play them before?
That I don't know.
A few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was recently though, within a month maybe.
It wasn't too long ago. I remember that.
But you can't sputter to a division rival this late in the season though.
No, you
or
can't.
be having the defensive issues that you're having 2 weeks in a row this late in the season.
You have to learn how to get pressure on the quarterback.
I don't even hold on here. Who does Philly even play? They got at Seattle next week, and then home against the Giants, home against the Cards, and then away against the Giants. So they got some weeks to repair themselves, but they just can't look like that, man.
Yeah, and then if you look at the Cowboys, bro, they got the Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders.
Ouch. Okay.
They'd be lucky to come out of that 2-2.
What if they do though? So I mean,
they got 2-2. They're gonna have 2 losses to the Eagles, likely none. So they're tied right now. So Eagles will still have a 2-game advantage if the Eagles win the rest of their 4. Let's go 3-1. Then they still have a bye game.
So let's say Dallas goes 2-2. Then
if they go 2-2 and the Cowboys go 2-2, the Cowboys have the breaker.
If they go 2-2,
well, I guess it depends because right now it goes into we'd have to look at the divisional records and then if it goes down to
yeah. I'm talking about just pure momentum. Pure momentum. If the Cowboys go 2-2, then they went 7-2 in their last 9 to end their season. Yeah, there's easy opponents in there, the Giants, the Panthers, but they also play the Eagles twice. But that's nuts. 7-2 in your last 9 to end the season. You got to be feeling pretty good about yourself and a chance at home field advantage potentially. But do I see them beating both the Bills, Dolphins, and Lions those 3 games?
It's going to be tough to come out of that with 2 wins.
It is because you're in Buffalo. That's always a tough place to play,
especially with the way that they're playing right now.
Playing Miami wherever you are is tough. And then the Lions, who knows by then? That's a few weeks out. The Lions are kind of getting week to week all of a sudden.
They don't look good, man. Well, I think that's all we have for Week 14.
911, what's your emergency?
Let's get into some tent talk, sir. Let's start off with some injuries. Your boy, Justin Jefferson, long-awaited comeback from the injury. Didn't last too long, man. What's going on with him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody was super excited to get JJ back, yours truly included. And then, yeah, he didn't last very long. It doesn't help that Dobbs was staring him down the whole time he was actually in the game. But he took a shot to the back, which ended up somehow injuring his chest to the point where he left the game and the stadium and ended up going to the hospital. Turns out everything is okay, I guess. So he just traveled back with the team. And so apparently they're expecting him to most likely play this Saturday, but it's still more of like a day-to-day situation.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than what it ended up being with it. Him going to the hospital and whatnot. Maybe it was just precautionary because it was chest.
It had to have been because he walked off the field on his own accord. He was walking fine.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was in like a lot of pain.
He wasn't like laboring like TJ Hawkinson every catch.
That's
poor
hilarious.
Guy. No
That's
offense
hilarious.
to TJ, but poor guy.
Yeah, I want to see him back. I like what he brings to the NFL. I like what he brings to the Vikings offense. So I hope he plays this week, man.
And they need him.
They sure do. All right, let's go to the AFC West. Justin Herbert, he fractured his right index finger. Came out today that he does indeed need surgery. He's done for the year, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big loss to the Chargers for sure, but it's not a big loss for the season. The season's already lost for the Chargers, to be quite honest. So it'll be a good chance to see what Easton Stick has. I think he's the starter going forward. So I'm not expecting much from him.
Yeah, and the Chargers they're not doing anything this year. They're basically out of the playoffs.
They need to fire their coach.
Well, that's a whole nother podcast we could have about that. But let's switch focus then to another AFC team here. The Cleveland Browns lost DeJuan Jones having knee surgery. He's done for the year.
Yeah, for the Browns, you already can't keep losing people. And it seems like they have people dropping every week. And now you're going to lose your rookie right tackle. I'm sorry, I don't think he's right. Could be left. I can't remember. But you're one of your rookie tackles for the season who's been playing well. He's actually the highest graded pass blocker among rookies. He's much lower on the run blocking department, but I think that's more easily learned, I would imagine, than pass blocking when you got to deal with stepping back and dealing with, say, a Nick Bosa or something. You know what I mean? So I think run blocking, he'll be able to figure it out. But either way, big loss to the Cleveland offense. Especially
for a team with footless Joe Flacco back there. I mean, they're 8-5. They're the 5th seed right now. They're in control of their own destiny for the playoffs. So that is a big loss. A bigger loss. He's still in concussion protocol. He hit his head pretty hard on the turf. CJ Stroud, a guy that we've been raving pretty much nonstop this year. That sucks.
And I mean, obviously, we don't need to talk about it too much, how much they need him in their lineup for them to have an opportunity to win on Sundays right now.
Yeah, he means everything to that team right now. He's the heart and soul as a rookie. He's the leader. Another team on the outside. Are they on the outside looking in right now? I think they're part of that 6-team tie or whatever. So they they just need him to play. They do. They have a chance at the playoffs. Concussion protocol, so, he should be back this year. Hopefully he is. Yeah. He might even play this week. You can pass that within a day. Then we go over a lot of AFC this week. We have the star edge rushers for the Steelers. They mean more to that team than anybody. You can make an argument that a TJ Watt is the MVP of that team. Most valuable to that team. He is. But, what he's been able to do with Alex Highsmith being in those constant pressures, both of those fellas in concussion protocol. Big loss to the Steelers. No doubt. And when you're already without Kenny Pickett on the other side of the ball, you need as much help as possible on the defensive side of the ball. And without these two guys, they're the heart and soul of whatever defense exists there right now, but they're the heart and soul of it. They lead that defense, and they need them on the field. And they're two of the best edge rushers in the league, that's a huge loss. Well, that's all we have for injuries. Not a whole lot of news this week. It's a pretty lull week there. It's basically just injuries. But as always, we do have to touch on our Rodgers watch. He is expected to be cleared for their Christmas Eve game. He will start for the Jets if they are not eliminated from the playoffs. I think right now, the last I saw, they were like 11%. Zach Wilson looks real damn good this last week.
He played well, yeah.
But if they are eliminated, he might still be the emergency quarterback that suits up if, the first two guys get hurt, which, makes sense. You don't want to put him out there if you don't need to. But the fact that this guy might step foot on a football team in uniform after tearing his ACL in week 1 is just mind-boggling.
Third emergency quarterback, so who's backing up Zach Wilson then, do you know?
I don't know, because they cut Tim Boyle.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think that he's even expecting to have a chance to step on the field, like you said. I don't think they will be in playoff contention, so therefore I do not think we'll see Aaron Rodgers playing on the field again this season. But we'll just, another. I know I say it all the freaking time, but another thing, we just got to kind of see what happens. We can speculate all we want, but until we get to that point, until we get to Christmas Eve and know if the Jets are still looking at a spot or not, then we won't know if we'll see Rodgers. He's a mysterious being.
I really hope we do. To answer your question, it's Trevor Siemian and Brett Rippon. So I believe Brett Rippon right now is the emergency quarterback.
Yeah, it would definitely be Siemian. Brett is not. He ain't it.
Yes, well, it's going to be interesting.
I hate to rip on him, but
it's going to be interesting to see if Zach Wilson can kind of keep that momentum from last game going. And they're 5-8 right now, so, they're not they're 2 games back from that 6-team tie. Let's see who they have for the rest of the year.
I was just about to pull it up, too. I was like, I wonder who the Jets even play.
We got the Dolphins next week, the Commanders, Browns, Patriots. So that's
2-2.
Yeah, that gets you 8-9. I don't think that's doing it. If they could squeak out a win against the Dolphins or Browns and even finish 3-1, for that team to finish 9-8 after losing Rodgers for week 1, there would be pretty freaking cool, impressive. But
I Dolphins, no. Browns, maybe not. I don't know.
Not with the way Joe Flacco's playing.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't see it, but all the best for the guy. I hope to see him this season. I really do, but I don't think we will.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope we do, but it's going to be an exciting next year. Well, that leads us to my favorite segment, sir. Your Bonehead Move of the Week.
Genius!
Yes, well, welcome back to Bonehead Move of the Week. This week, I'm sure most of you that have already listened to some of our episodes can probably gather where we're going to go with this one. Patrick Mahomes, man. One of the most humble players, honestly, in the NFL that you'll find, truly. Every time they've lost in the past, he always puts it on himself rather than the team. And, just wears his heart on his sleeve, really, really takes ownership of the success and fall of the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, this weekend, you didn't really see that with that frustrating call at the end of the game. Mahomes, usually at the end of the game, it's a big deal, right? The cameras follow and everything, and you see the quarterbacks go up and can, say what's up to each other, a respect thing. And Mahomes walked up to Josh Allen and said some wild things that I'm going to quote here that will be explicit. So if you want to be mad at somebody for cussing, you can be mad at Patrick Mahomes. As he met Allen on the field, Mahomes said, quote, "Wildest fucking call I've ever seen. Offensive offsides in that moment. Man, fucking terrible." End quote. And then walks away from Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is kind of funny. Josh Allen's kind of standing there like, okay. Which is wild because Josh Allen, how many times has Josh Allen been on the other side of that handshake with Patrick Mahomes? You would think he'd have at least a little bit more respect for Josh Allen as a fellow quarterback or whatever, But what do you make of what is now becoming the Patrick Mahomes meltdown?
It's very uncharacteristic of him.
Right.
And as you mentioned, he's one of the most humble guys. He'll always take credit. And I think it's to the boiling point of the Chiefs offense this year. And after the call last week against the Packers to end it, it's at some point, like, the guy's fucking human.
For sure.
Was it uncalled for? Yes. At the end of the day, you should be able to control your emotions, but it was such a spectacular play and such a good play by Travis Kelce that will probably not be remembered when it's all said and done, which sucks.
Probably the top play of the year.
Yeah,
At least had it been a candidate.
Yeah, I can't think of something off the top of my head, but
because the pass from Kelce was perfect.
It was a perfect spiral. He hit it, and Tony caught it
as he's getting decked.
And Tony actually caught it.
Yeah, right. No,
but yeah. So it's just, and he's come out and apologized. He says, you should never speak to an official, let alone he shouldn't speak to any humans like that. So good on him to do that, as you kind of expect him to do. I just really thought he was caught up in the emotions. And the whole thing with Josh Allen is, the clip that we see, it kind of starts really kind of with him saying that. So I'm hoping with just who Patrick Mahomes has kind of shown he was, like, as they were walking up, he might have said something like, hey, great game, but then led to this.
I'd imagine so.
I would think
that
so,
clip, you already see them pretty much embraced.
Exactly.
And then walking away from each other.
Exactly. So you never know, because the media is going to try to clip it, make it for what it is.
No doubt.
And like I said, is it uncalled for? Should he have done it? No, but I really can't blame the fella. I'm personally, I'm not mad at it. Like, I love seeing the passion and everything that this game means to him. So it is what it is.
Well, and this is what he said. So that last quote I got was from People magazine. Of course, I'm sure Mahomes does seem like the type that would probably interviewing people. I don't know why. I'm just saying, like, I'm no hate, just whatever. Anyway, Mahomes also says, quote, but more than anything, I regret that he said this today. I regret the way I acted towards Josh after the game because he had nothing to do with it. I was a little hot and emotional, but you can't do that, man. It's not a great example for kids watching the game. So I was more upset about that than me on the sidelines. And then blah, 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 blah. Goes on to say, I care, man. I love it. I love this game. I love my teammates. I want to go out there and put everything on the line to win. But obviously can't do that. Can't be that way towards officials or really anybody in life. So he does come out, obviously, today and say all that, which is more of the Patrick Mahomes. Not only does he have to, obviously, but that's more of, like, you can say that's scripted, you can say whatever, but like that's who he's shown his character to be his whole NFL career to this point.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I don't think it was necessarily scripted by any means. And it's just, it is who he's shown to be. Like, yeah, you're going to have to come out and say something. But I mean, from the whole kid's perspective, like, yeah, I get it. But that's only because of the day and age we live in. I look at it as a father, and like, if I got a kid that's playing sports and like sees that, like, I'm gonna show that as like, that's how passionate this guy is about the game he loves, and he truly embraces every aspect of it. So I personally can't. Yeah, I mean, there's kids out there like, and I don't know, man. It's like, is a kid gonna see that and then go and bitch out an official because Patrick Mahomes did it? Like, I think that's more of an instillment of who your coaches are and who you are as a parent. To like, that's your kid's mindset. Sure. And if they're that passionate about something and it's that exact situation or a similar situation, like, yeah, I'm gonna have that conversation with my kid, but I'm not gonna, like, you're not gonna get in trouble.
Right. And I'm cool with him coming out and apologizing, and again, that makes sense. It's everything what he stands for and who he is as a person. The one thing I don't agree with, no matter what, you can apologize all you want. Kind of an unwritten rule, no matter what level of football, you don't throw your helmet on the fucking ground. And he took it and he two-handed slammed that son of a bee right on the ground. And again, I get it, right? Like he's saying, it's the emotional, I did that once. I never did it again. But I did that once because, short story, whatever, quarterback coach wanted us receivers to go out and practice our blocking, run blocking and whatever, and I was doing everything he said, according to me, right? I was doing everything he wanted me to do, and I was still doing it wrong after like 10 times. I was like, well, then effing show me and blah, 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 and rip my helmet off through it, whatever. But it's not something that you do. Of course, I was 17 at the time, not however the hell old Mahomes is, 28 or whatever. But it's like one of those unwritten rules, and he knows that. And again, probably something else he regrets, right? But just don't throw your helmet, man. That goes for anybody out there playing football. That thing protects you. Respect your helmet.
Yeah, no, I'm 100. I can 100% get behind that. It was similar in baseball for me growing up. It's like you get out, whatever. You don't come back to the dugout, throw your helmet. I did it one time pitching when I just fucking was terrible. Came in and threw my glove into my bag, and it wasn't even the head coach. It was the pitching coach. Came up to me, yelled at me, and then stuck me in the bullpen as the catcher for the rest of the game. So it was like, you're going to learn, and I never even thought about doing it from then, because it's, again, like, you have to respect
It's
you
part
have
of respecting the game.
It is. It's part of respecting the game, but at the same time, so is not yelling at officials.
For sure.
But at the same time,
For sure.
At the same time, let's go over to baseball. How many times did managers get ejected for arguing balls and strikes in the MLB?
It's kind of part of the game.
You know, it is. So
A little bit
like,
different.
at the end, and coaches throughout the whole game are doing everything. Their only thing they're doing is bitching at the officials.
100%.
And so
officials
it's-
already put up with a lot from the coaches.
And that's a
I'll
tough
tell you
job.
firsthand. I'm gonna tell you firsthand. Even at the high school level, the officials put up with a lot.
And it's a tough job, and so. In my opinion, though, you don't call that. You just don't call that in that crucial part of the game. Was it egregious? Absolutely, it was. But I just don't think you call it.
No, and I'm 50-50 on it because he's offsides, clear as day, offsides. But usually I feel like offensive offsides, they don't let the play continue. Usually it's as soon as the ball's snapped, I felt like they usually call it.
No, it's all the time. So it's just like defensive offsides. You give the
It's a
defense
free
an
play?
opportunity to make a play.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, man. I guess it's different rules, obviously, for the NFL, but it's just like, I just think you have to call it if it's that obvious. If it's that obvious. But under 2 minutes, you hate to see any calls on either team. Let them play football. Now, if you're going up for a pass and you get decked and you not even sniffing the ball, yeah, dude, come on.
Yeah.
But like if it's close, I get what you're saying. You know, we don't want, as fans, we don't want the refs running the games. Is it a power trip thing for the refs? You've seen it over the history of the NFL. There's always those conspiracies that the NFL scripted and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the refs are being told this or that and the other thing. I think it's more or less sometimes the refs are like, what was it? It was a Monday night game? No, it was a Sunday night game, wasn't it? The Chiefs, no, it was a Sunday afternoon game. Sorry, the Chiefs-Bills. But, like, this is national TV. I'm going to get my time. Flag.
Yeah, and that 100% has happened in the past. It sucks to see. The worst thing about it is it sucks to see that it came to that. That's what the talk of the game is. At the end of the day, that just sucks.
No, 100%. 100%.
Let's get on to this week's slate, sir. I did listen last week, and I had not really noticed that.
I didn't
had
even
the
notice that
Packers.
shit until just now. I read it. I was like, oh, shit, he's going to go with the Vikings game first.
I did listen. I honestly just hadn't realized that has been the case. So we're going to start off next week's slate. We have the Vikings traveling down to Cincinnati, taking on the Bengals. The home team Bengals are a 3.5-point favorite in that game. It's your team, sir. Start us off.
I don't actually give a shit, but I appreciate this. Yes. So yeah, it's the best team in the league. We're starting with the Minnesota Vikings. Traveling to Cincinnati. Dude, I really don't think I can take the Vikings here. Seriously. I think Cincinnati wins by that 3.5. I don't want to say that. As a fan, I'm rooting for my Vikings this weekend, obviously. But Jake Browning's hot. That defense played well this past weekend too. We talked about Jake Browning and that offense already, but that defense really stepped up this weekend as well. Now I do think Brian Flores will be bringing the heat as always. So that's the matchup for me. Jake Browning versus whatever blitzes. It's Jake Browning versus Brian Flores this weekend for me for the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the Vikings are going to win this game. You got Nick Mullins coming in at quarterback. I mean, the Vikings did score the same amount of points as the Wild did last Sunday, so you never really know what's going to happen.
Look at you with the Wild stat.
Heyo. But I'm with you. I think the Bengals are playing way too hot. Jake Browning he's playing out of his mind. They have a balanced offense. Chase Brown, he came out last week, but they still got Jamar. They still got T. Higgins. They still got Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon's being his normal self this year. So I just think the Bengals are just playing way too hot right now. I got the Bengals covering that 3.5. That moves us on to the next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers come up to Lambeau, taking on my Packers. Even after that poor performance last week, the Packers are favored in this one, 3.5 points. It's a get-back game. Packers are going to cover that, sir.
I agree. This is a must-win game for them after last week. I really thought after that touchdown that was it. I thought that defense would honestly lock it down, and the Giants wouldn't even get an attempt at a field goal. I thought it would come down to a Hail Mary, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. I'm a little concerned, but I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they should win. They have to win.
What scares me in this game is the Buccaneers have just as much to play for as the Packers because they're still going at it in that NFC South division.
Technically,
but-
they're leading the division right now, too.
They are. So I think the Packers, they need this one more than anything. Going back up to Lambeau.
The NFC South is tight.
NFC South is a terrible division.
That is tight, though.
Just terrible.
Tight. You got
Well, yeah,
Tampa
every
at
single
6 and
team has
7.
a losing record.
Oh, my God. Tight.
The winner of this division might actually have a losing record on the year. You know what's insane?
They probably will, actually.
The Saints are 6 and 7 with a plus 24 point differential.
Mm.
That's wild to me. But nonetheless, so yeah, Packers are going to cover this one. They're going to win by more than 3.5. But that 3.5 kind of scares me. I think this is like a field goal game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that
so
0.5
I'd love
is...
this if it was 3.
Yeah.
But I'm still confident in the 3.5.
Yep, I'm still taking the Pack, too.
Then we have a AFC showdown with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are favored in this one, 2.5 points. Kenny Pickett's not back yet. Did not love what I saw in Mitch Trubisky last week.
No.
That defense,
I thought he'd play much better.
So did I. I thought that would open up the offense a little bit more with him as well, and they really didn't seem to do that. And to me, this game solely is dependent on if Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt are good to go.
100%. I was going to say this exact same shit. Yeah, I mean, I got to go with the Colts because, I mean, considering the Steelers struggling against the Patriots last week, that offense is extremely concerning. I don't think especially without TJ Watt and Highsmith, they don't have a shot. Straight up, don't have a shot. So they need those guys on defense, and then they need their defense to almost pitch a shutout. So I got to go with the Colts.
I'm with you on that one. I got the Colts in this one too. The Colts really, really, really need this game. That, you know, they're a part of that 6-team tie, and it's. I just
And
can't.
one of those teams is the Steelers. This is going to be a
game means a
matchup
lot.
right here. Yeah,
because the Steelers aren't winning the AFC North. The Ravens got that kind of on lock, I believe, right now.
yeah.
Even with a healthy Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. Now, granted, a concussion isn't like a lingering hamstring injury where it affects you week after week. It's if you're back, you're back. But I don't know. I can't trust the Steelers offense after what the Patriots did to them last week, man. So let's move on. We got the Cowboys taking on the Bills up in Buffalo. The home team is a 2.5 point favorite. This is our game of the week. I'll lead us off here. It looks like you're kind of pondering. I think the Cowboys are going to go in and actually win this one. I think this is a Cowboys win by a touchdown or more. They're playing. Their offense is clicking on every level right now. Their defense is playing really good. Don't tell Stephon Gilmore he's older. He's going to come at you, and he's going to come at you bad.
Yeah.
So Stephon Diggs, learn from AJ Brown. But the Bills are playing good, but I think the Cowboys have a better defense than the Chiefs, and Josh Allen didn't look great last week. Cowboys are winning this one by, like I said, 7 or more.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to argue that. It really is. But I'm going to go ahead and make it interesting. Let's go with the Bills. Going back home, this is a chance for them to. They got lucky this past weekend. They really did. Obviously, we've already touched on that multiple times. But this is a game where I don't know. Maybe it'll be cold. Maybe Dallas can't handle that this weekend. I don't know, but that's what I'm banking on. That there'll be some weather. That's going to be kind of a crappy game, and the Bills could sneak out with it. I don't know. I think Josh Allen, and if it's good weather, I think this is a bounce back game for Josh Allen. I think it's a hard defense to do it against, but if he does, then maybe we do see the Bills in the playoffs, which we did not think was a possibility like 2 weeks ago.
That's a scary team to see in the playoffs.
Who?
The Bills.
No, I know. Yeah. Once they get there, then who knows? All bets are off.
That's a sneaky team.
All bets are off. So I think we'll make it interesting this week for game of the week. I think I got to go with Bills at home.
All right. I like the diversity. All right, let's round this slate out here. We have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are a 3.5 point underdog in this one. To be honest with you guys, the slate's not too terribly great this week, so we were kind of stuck with 2 games here that we just had to kind of flip a coin on, you know. But the Ravens are going to win this game by, at least 4 points. I got the Ravens taking this one easily. They're playing damn good right now. That defense is jumping. OBJ seems to be coming kind of back in that old form. He's kind of building that connection with Lamar now. So I got the Ravens winning this one.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. I'm probably going Ravens too, especially with, do we know if Trevor Lawrence is back this week?
Pretty sure he's playing, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence should be good to go for Wednesday's practice and blah, 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 blah. They're at home. Ooh.
Jaguars need this game, too.
They do. You know what? F it. We're going to make this interesting, too. I think the Jaguars at home, yeah, they're not the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites, but I think if they have Trevor Lawrence, I think they have a shot. And again, it's another team that's playing with some emotion. They know how close they are to falling out of the playoffs. They know they got to keep winning. I think this is obviously a must-win game for them. We knew it was going to be tight for them coming down the stretch. They really couldn't lose last week, and they did. So I think they know it's all on the line here. So I think Jacksonville may be playing with pressure, pull it off.
I like it. We're going to have a little mix-up in the scoreboard. And we will. Not that this means anything to you guys at this point, because you've heard it week after week.
No one
but
cares.
Smeltzy and I have... no one cares. Smeltzy and I have... That's a little inside joke for us. But Smeltzy and I have committed. We will get you the standings this week. Now, we haven't been too terribly consistent with getting a pod every week. We've kind of turned that around. So we'll commit to you guys. We'll get that done. You get to get a pod every week for the rest of the year. And then we're going to have some fun in the offseason with you guys as well. But as always, like, comment, subscribe, Spotify, YouTube. We are there. Smeltzy, it's been a pleasure, brother. We'll see you guys next week.
As always.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.